The front door swung inward on a quiet hinge, like the house itself didn't want to make noise. Stacy stood in the doorway, one hand still on the knob, shoulders relaxed as if she were welcoming a friend. The cap shadowed her face, but Travis didn't need to see her eyes to know they were smiling. He stood outside in his wedding suit, tie loosened, jacket open, the white shirt beneath now wrinkled from panic. The sun behind him made his silhouette look sharper than he felt. His chest rose and fell too fast, like his body couldn't decide between rage and grief. For 1 second they just stared. Twins. Same bones, same blood, same childhood photographs. But the distance between them looked like an ocean. "Travis," Stacy said softly, voice warm and intimate as if nothing had happened. "You came?" Travis didn't step forward. His hands were clenched at his sides. "Where is she?" he asked. Stacy tilted her head. "Who?" Travis's jaw flexed. "Don't do that." Stacy's mouth curved. "You always hated when people accused you of being dramatic. Now look at you." Travis swallowed hard. "Melody, where is Melody?" Stacy sighed like he was exhausting her. "Safe." Travis's throat tightened so hard the word came out rough. "Let her go." Stacy's gaze flicked over his suit, the proof of a life she refused to accept. Her expression hardened for a blink, then softened again like a practiced trick. "You look nice," she said, like a man who thinks he's moving forward. Travis's eyes burned. This isn't a conversation. Stacy leaned against the doorframe, calm as a priest. "Then why did you come alone?" Travis froze. The words landed like a needle under his skin. Because he had come alone. Not because the police hadn't insisted, because Travis had lied. He'd told them he was going to clear his head, then drove straight here on instinct, fueled by the terror that every second mattered. Stacy's smile widened. "There he is," she whispered. "My brother." Travis's voice dropped. "You're not in your right mind." Stacy blinked, offended. "Don't talk to me like I'm sick." "You escaped a psychiatric facility and kidnapped my fiancé," Travis snapped. "If you want to pretend that's normal, you can pretend alone." Stacy's eyes flashed. Then she smiled again, but the warmth was gone. "Come inside," she said. Travis didn't move. Stacy's tone sharpened. "Come inside, Travis, or I'll make this louder." Travis's blood turned cold. "What did you do to her?" Stacy's eyes held his. "Nothing yet." The word "yet" hung in the air like smoke. Travis stepped forward. Not into the house, just closer to the threshold. "I'm begging you," he said, and the honesty in his voice surprised even him. "Don't do this." Stacy's face softened, a flicker of something almost childlike. "Then choose correctly." Travis frowned. "What?" Stacy's voice became a whisper, almost reverent. "Choose me." Inside, the house smelled too clean, like someone had scrubbed away the reality of what it was. Travis stepped through the doorway slowly, every muscle tight, eyes scanning corners. His instinct screamed danger, but he forced himself to look calm. Because panic feeds the kind of person Stacy had become. Stacy shut the door behind him with a quiet click. The sound felt final. She walked ahead like a hostess, leading him through a small living room where everything looked staged. Neat couch, tidy blankets, a water bottle placed carefully on a table. 2 chairs faced each other in the center of the room like an interrogation. And on the table between them sat a framed photo of Travis and Stacy at 8 years old. Smiling, close, innocent. Travis stared at it, throat tight. Stacy followed his gaze and smiled. "I brought us back." Travis's voice was flat. "Where is she?" Stacy's eyes moved to a closed door down the hall. Travis's body surged forward. Stacy's hand shot out, grabbing his arm with surprising strength. She murmured. Not yet. Travis yanked his arm free, his voice breaking into rage. You don't get to control me anymore. Stacy's face tightened. I'm trying to save you. From what? Travis shouted. From being happy? Stacy's eyes glistened, but Travis saw it now. The tears were not grief. They were anger at being disobeyed. From being used, Stacy whispered. From being taken from me? Travis stared at her, breathing hard. Then, slowly, he said the words that felt like ripping skin. You need help. Stacy flinched as if struck. Her mouth trembled. You're saying that because she poisoned you? Travis shook his head. No, I'm saying that because you're hurting people. Stacy's face turned cold. She's the one hurting people. She's hurting me. Travis's eyes dropped again to the childhood photo. He saw their smaller faces, their matching clothes, the way Stacy had leaned into him like he was a wall she trusted. He remembered the hill. He remembered the fall. He remembered Stacy sobbing. You saved me. He had thought it was gratitude. He hadn't known it was the beginning of an obsession. Travis stepped closer to Stacy, voice low. Stacy, I love you, he said, careful. But not the way you want. I never will. Stacy's eyes widened, horror filling her expression like water rising. You're lying, she whispered. Travis shook his head. I'm not. Stacy's breathing turned fast. You don't mean that. I do. Stacy's voice rose. You promised you'd always be there. Travis swallowed. As your brother, as your family, not... Don't say it, Stacy screamed. Her voice echoed off the walls, louder than the house should have held. From down the hall, a muffled sound, someone shifting, someone trying not to be heard. Melody. Travis's body stiffened, hope and terror colliding in his chest. Stacy noticed. Her face sharpened into something dangerous. Sit, she said, pointing at one of the chairs. Travis didn't sit. Stacy's hand slipped into her hoodie pocket. Travis's eyes locked there, alert. Stacy withdrew. A phone, not a weapon. But Travis understood immediately. In her hand, the phone was a weapon. She held it up, a thumb hovering over the screen. If you don't sit, Stacy said calmly, I'm going to call in a tip. Tell them where you are. Tell them you came here to hurt me. A groom in a suit, stalking his sick sister. How do you think that story ends online? Travis stared at her, stunned. Stacy smiled. You care what people think. I learned that about you. Travis's hands trembled, but he forced them still. Stacy, he said, voice controlled. The police already know you took Melody. Stacy's smile didn't falter. Do they know where? Travis didn't answer. Stacy's eyes glittered. Exactly. He realized then Stacy didn't need to win forever. She only needed enough time to ruin today. Time was her weapon. Travis inhaled slowly. Then he sat. Behind the closed door, Melody had been counting seconds like prayers. She lay on her side on a bed in a small room, wrists bound, ankles tied loosely enough to move but not run. The cloth over her mouth had been removed, replaced by a warning. Be quiet, Stacy had said earlier. I don't want to have to do anything ugly. Melody's lips were dry. Her throat burned. She listened now, Travis's voice, Stacy's voice, faint through the wall. Her chest tightened with relief at hearing Travis near. Then panic followed. Because Travis was near. Alone. Melody pressed her cheek against the mattress, eyes squeezed shut, trying to think like a survivor. She tested her bindings again, twisting wrists, flexing fingers, pain but no give. She scanned the room with her eyes, a dresser, a lamp, a small desk. On the desk, a water bottle. Beside it, a disposable plastic fork from a takeout container. Melody's heart leapt. She rolled carefully, inching toward it, using her bound hands awkwardly. The rope scraped her skin, but she ignored the sting. She hooked the fork with her fingertips and dragged it closer. Plastic wasn't sharp, but it could be stubborn. And Melody had learned something in life. Stubborn beats strong when strong is exhausted. She began rubbing the plastic fork's edge against the rope, sawing slowly, silently. Outside the room, voices rose and fell, Travis pleading, Stacy controlling. Melody's breath shook. She saw the door in her mind, the key turning. She imagined Stacy snapping, doing something irreversible. She forced herself to keep sawing. Because if Travis was here alone, Melody had to become her own rescue too. In the living room, Stacy sat opposite Travis, phone resting in her lap like a sleeping animal. She watched him with a soft, satisfied gaze, as if the simple fact that he sat in her house proved something. "You remember when you saved me?" she asked. Travis's jaw tightened. "Yes." Stacy leaned forward, eyes shining. "That was when I knew." Travis swallowed. "Knew what?" Stacy smiled as if it were obvious. "That no one would ever love me like you." Travis's voice was low. "That wasn't love." Stacy's eyes sharpened. "Don't insult it." Travis's hands clenched on his knees. "Stacy, people fall. Brothers help. That's life." Stacy shook her head slowly like he was speaking nonsense. "You got hurt instead of me." Travis's voice cracked with frustration. "That's what siblings do." Stacy's face twisted, hurt, fury, disbelief all at once. "No," she whispered. "Men don't sacrifice like that unless it means something." Travis stared at her, understanding something painful. Stacy had built her entire world view on one misunderstood moment. And because nobody corrected her early, because her parents had laughed it off, because Travis had tolerated her control, Stacy had grown up feeding that belief until it became an identity. "You can't marry her," Stacy said softly, almost tender. "You can't have kids with her, because then you're gone." Travis breathed out slowly. "I'm not gone. I'm still your brother." Stacy's eyes filled. "I don't want a brother." The sentence dropped heavy and ugly into the room. Travis felt nausea rise. He stared at Stacy like she was both familiar and foreign. "Listen to yourself," he whispered. Stacy smiled faintly through tears. "I am." Travis leaned forward. "Stacy, Melody is a person, not an obstacle, not a rival. She's someone I love." Stacy's tears vanished like they'd been turned off. "You love her because she's new." Travis shook his head. "I love her because she's good." Stacy's face hardened. "Then she'll survive leaving." Travis's blood went cold. "What does that mean?" Stacy's eyes held his, calm again. "It means you have one chance to fix this." Travis swallowed. "Let her go." Stacy's voice became sweet. "Tell her it's over, in front of me, then I'll let her walk out." Travis froze. Stacy smiled. "Say it." Travis's mind raced. If he refused, Stacy might hurt Melody. If he agreed, Melody would hear it, would think he meant it, and might be destroyed anyway. Stacy wasn't offering a deal. She was offering a trap. Travis's throat tightened. He forced his voice steady. "I'll talk to her." Stacy nodded toward the hallway. "Good." She stood, phone in hand, and led him down the hall like she was guiding a guest to a tour. Travis walked with her, each step heavy with fear. He prayed silently, not for himself, for Melody. Melody heard footsteps approach. Her hands were slick with sweat from sawing the rope. The fibers had thinned, but not enough. She froze, breath held. The doorknob turned. The door opened. Stacy stood in the doorway, smiling. Behind her, Travis. Melody's eyes filled instantly. Relief hit her so hard she nearly sobbed. "Melody," Travis whispered, voice shattered. He stepped toward her, but Stacy lifted a hand. "Not yet," Stacy said. "We're going to do this calmly." Melody's eyes flew to Stacy, pure hatred and fear. Stacy's smile didn't change. "Travis has something to say." Travis stared at Melody, his eyes red. Melody shook her head slightly. "Don't." Travis's chest rose and fell. He looked like a man standing on a bridge deciding whether to jump. Stacy's voice was gentle and cruel. "Tell her." Travis opened his mouth. Then he looked at Melody and did something Stacy didn't expect. He didn't speak to Stacy's demand. He spoke truth. "Melody," he said, voice trembling, "I'm sorry I brought you into this. I'm sorry I didn't see it sooner." Stacy's smile faltered. Travis continued, louder now, eyes locked on Melody. "I love you. I'm not leaving you." Stacy's face snapped cold. "Travis." Travis turned to her, voice hard. "This ends today." Stacy's eyes widened, disbelief turning to rage. "You can't talk to me like that in my house." Travis stepped forward, putting his body between Stacy and Melody. "I'm not your property," he said, "and she's not your prisoner." Stacy's hand shot up, phone raised, thumb poised. Travis's heart pounded. Stacy's voice shook for the first time, not with sadness, but with panic. "If you don't choose me," she hissed, "I'll make sure you lose everything. I'll ruin you. I'll ruin her." Travis stared at her, and something old and gentle inside him died. He spoke quietly with finality. "You already ruined enough." He turned his head slightly and said, without looking away from Stacy, "Melody, when I say run, run." Melody's eyes widened. Stacy's gaze flicked to Melody, suspicious. In that fraction of distraction, Melody moved. She yanked hard at the rope one last time. The weakened fiber snapped. Her wrist came free. She lunged off the bed toward the door. Stacy's eyes went wild. "No!" She reached for Melody. Travis grabbed Stacy's arm. Stacy clawed at him, screaming, twisting like a trapped animal. Melody shoved past them into the hallway, bare feet slapping the floor. Travis held Stacy back with both arms, muscles straining, pain blooming where she scratched. "Go!" he shouted. Melody ran. Down the hall, into the living room, toward the front door. She fumbled with the lock, hands shaking so badly she nearly dropped it. Outside, nothing but quiet neighborhood air. No police in sight, no guarantee. She burst out anyway, choking on sobs, and screamed, "Help! Somebody help me!" A curtain moved in a neighbor's window. A door opened. Someone shouted, "Hey!" Melody stumbled into the yard, shaking, arms marked by rope burns. Behind her, inside the house, a scream tore the air, Stacy's. Not a scream of fear, a scream of loss. Travis stumbled into the living room, dragging Stacy with him as she fought like fury had given her extra strength. "You can't," Stacy screamed. "You can't take her away." Travis's voice broke. "I'm not taking her away. You did." Stacy's eyes were wide, wet, frantic. "I did it for us." "There is no us like that," Travis said, voice shaking with grief and anger. "There never was." Stacy's breath came fast. "You're lying. You're lying because you're scared of what people will think." Travis stared at her, chest heaving. "This isn't about people. This is about truth." Stacy's face twisted. Truth is, you always chose me. Travis swallowed hard. Truth is, I enabled you. The words seemed to stun her. He continued, voice cracking. I let you control my life because it was easier than fighting. And I thought you were just protective. Stacy's eyes glittered with rage. I was protective. Travis shook his head. You were possessive. Stacy screamed and tried to bite him. Travis shoved her back, not violently, desperately. She fell into the chair, chest heaving. Sirens began to rise in the distance, real this time. The neighbor must have called. Stacy heard them too. She went still. Then she laughed, a soft, broken laugh. They're coming, she whispered. For me. Travis stared at her, tears in his eyes. Stacy, please, just stop. Stacy looked at him with a strange calm, like a person watching the end of a movie they've already seen. You think this ends because they take me? She asked softly. Travis swallowed. Stacy's smile returned, small, eerie. It doesn't end. You can lock a body away. You can't lock a feeling. Travis's voice was hoarse. This isn't love. Stacy's eyes burned. Then why does it hurt like love? Travis had no answer that would save her. He only had the truth. You need help, he whispered again. Real help. Stacy's jaw trembled. For the first time, her eyes flicked, uncertain, like a crack in the delusion. Then it closed. Her face hardened again. No, she said. You need to come back. The sirens grew louder. Stacy's gaze darted around the room as if searching for a new plan, a new trap. But time was running out. For the first time in years, time wasn't hers. The police arrived in a rush of footsteps and commands. Hands! Show me your hands! Travis lifted his hands immediately, backing away from Stacy. She's in there, he shouted, voice raw. My sister. She escaped a facility. She kidnapped my wife. She's outside. She got away. She's safe, please. His words tangled as adrenaline crashed through him. Officers entered, cautious, weapons drawn but controlled. Stacy sat in the chair like a queen, refusing to stand for anyone. An officer stepped forward. Ma'am, stand up. Stacy stared at him, unblinking. Another officer moved behind her, ready with cuffs. Stacy's eyes slid to Travis. Her voice turned soft, intimate, the voice she used when she wanted to pull him back into her world. You're really going to let them take me? She whispered. Travis's throat tightened. Tears spilled before he could stop them. I didn't want this, he said, voice breaking. But you forced it. Stacy's eyes filled with something sharp. So you choose her? Travis nodded, trembling. Yes. Stacy's face twisted as if the word physically wounded her. The officers took her arms. Stacy did not fight them. She simply stared at Travis as the cuffs clicked around her wrists. And in that stare, Travis saw something that haunted him more than screams. Not hatred, not even anger, a belief, unshaken like a person still convinced the earth was flat even while staring at the sky. As they led her out, Stacy spoke one last sentence, quiet enough only Travis heard. You'll miss me when she leaves you too. Then she was gone. Out the door, into flashing lights, into the consequences she had been outrunning since childhood. Travis stood in the ruined living room, shaking. He didn't feel victorious. He felt like he'd buried someone. Melody sat in the back of an ambulance, wrapped in a blanket, staring at her own hands as if they belonged to someone else. Her wrists were red with rope burns. Her lips were pale. Her eyes looked older. Travis approached, escorted by an officer. The moment Melody saw him, she began to cry, silent, shaking sobs that seemed to come from somewhere deep in her bones. Travis climbed into the ambulance and reached for her carefully, like she might shatter. "I'm sorry," he whispered. Melody shook her head, tears falling. "Don't," she choked. "Just don't lie to me. Tell me the truth." Travis swallowed. His voice was raw. "The truth is, this was bigger than I understood, and I should have protected you sooner." Melody's breath trembled. "Did you mean it? In there, when she made you choose?" Travis met her eyes. "Yes." Melody stared at him for a long moment, searching for fear, for weakness, for the old pattern. Then she nodded slowly. "I believe you," she whispered. Travis broke down then, quietly, shoulders shaking, face in his hands, like a man finally admitting how close he came to losing everything. Melody reached out and touched his sleeve. Not as comfort, as grounding, as proof they were still here. Outside, Travis's parents arrived. His mother sobbing, his father holding her like he was trying to hold the family together with his arms. Mrs. Hale approached Melody, voice shaking. "I am so sorry." Melody looked at her, eyes tired. "You didn't know," she said softly. "But you have to know now." Mr. Hale's eyes were wet. "We failed her." Melody's voice was gentle but firm. "She's sick. But sickness doesn't excuse what she did." Travis nodded, staring out of the ambulance window as the last of the police lights reflected in the glass. He whispered almost to himself, "This ends with help, not silence." Weeks later, the wedding didn't feel like a celebration anymore. It felt like a vow made in fire. Travis and Melody didn't rush to post pictures or pretend everything was perfect. They didn't turn their trauma into content. They healed quietly, with therapy sessions and long silences and late-night conversations that didn't always end with comfort. Sometimes healing was just staying in the same room without running. Stacy was returned to a secure facility under supervision, with legal consequences in motion. The family faced something they couldn't pray away or ignore away. They faced reality. One evening, Travis sat with Melody on a small balcony, watching the sky darken. Melody's fingers were intertwined with his. Her wrists had healed, but sometimes she still rubbed them when she thought nobody noticed. Travis noticed everything now. He had learned the cost of not noticing. "Do you ever feel guilty?" Melody asked quietly. Travis didn't pretend to misunderstand. "About Stacy?" Melody nodded. Travis stared out at the streetlights, swallowing. "Every day." Melody's voice was soft. "And?" Travis exhaled. "And I still choose you." Melody leaned her head against his shoulder. Travis closed his eyes, feeling the weight of that sentence, how simple it sounded, how hard it had been to earn. In his mind, he saw Stacy at 8 years old, crying over his scraped elbow like he was her whole world. He whispered into the night, not as a message to Stacy, but as a promise to himself. "I won't confuse guilt with responsibility anymore." Melody squeezed his hand. And in that squeeze, in that quiet, the story finally shifted, away from obsession and towards something steadier. A love that didn't cage. A love that didn't demand. A love that could survive the storm because it wasn't built on delusion. The world would keep talking online. People always did. But Travis and Melody stopped living for the noise. They lived for the truth. And that truth was this: you can love someone and still choose boundaries. You can grieve a sibling and still protect your future. You can survive a family tragedy without letting it define your entire life. The night deepened. The balcony light hummed softly, And for the first time in a long time, Travis felt peace that didn't feel borrowed.